Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you in a slightly different location in the office today. But today we're going to be taking a look at the new Cooler Master Silencio 550. Now the design has been about for a little while. It's been taken to a show before in the past, and I'm pretty sure most of the press have had these for about a month or 6 weeks as well, because that's how long I've had mine. Basically, this is quite an interesting topic really, because it is very similar to the NZXT H2 and the Fractal that I quite controversially reviewed recently. But the thing is, this one's a smidgen cheaper. Cooler Master are aiming this to come in at, well, we're told before prices actually go live at the retailers tomorrow, because there is actually an NDA for this chassis. We're told that this is going to be going live for about £67. So this has taken, over £10 GBP off the price of the other two, at least. So it's going to be interesting to see, what Cooler Master have managed to do with this. Also, I'm in a different location in the office because I've got something behind me which you're going to see later on in the week. But we're here today to have a look at the Silencio. Now I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to grab the camera off the tripod, give you a good walk round with it in my hand, give you my good honest thoughts about all the features and stuff like that. And yeah, we will see how we get on with it. So I'm going to try and shush, get the camera off, and I'll bring you in for a good close and in-depth look. Right then guys. First thing you'll see is it's very kind of, I don't want to say plain, so I'll say subtle, but there's not really a massive amount going on the side panels. You've got no kind of grills, no windows, no side panel fan, there's nothing on the side whatsoever. Quite strangely as well, with the roof as well, there's not a roof exhaust, which is again something quite unique at the moment, especially for these silent chassis, but we will have to see. First of all, we'll take a look at the front panel. Got USB 3 here, always a good thing to see now. A lot of people are asking for USB 3 on the front panels. There are a lot of external devices coming out of USB 3 now, USB 3 sticks and external USB 3 hard drives, so it's good to see. Headphone, microphone, USB 2. This is different though, there's an SD slot in the top. Generally you normally have to buy a card reader. SD is obviously the most popular one. Even if you've got the smaller SD cards, they generally come with a full-size SD adapter. So that's quite an interesting thing to see in there. Hard drive activity light, reset switch and a power switch, and the light for the power switch is built into the button. At the front you can see the mess on my desk. I'll let you have a good look because I've literally just moved everything out of the way to be able to make this video, but you can see how reflective stuff is. You can even pick up pictures if you really want to. So we've got a mirror gloss black front panel, and this is a door with, it's magnetic as well. There you go. On the back of the front panel though, ooh, did you see what I was doing in the background there? You'll have to rewind it. Anyway, on the back of the front panel you've got this foam. I'm trying to do it without you being able to see stuff. It's really not working, but there's a foam in the back anyway. In fact, I'm going to turn the case around so you can see better. Right. There's foam on the back panel. There you go. It's not necessarily a massively dense foam. I do quite like the feel of this stuff actually, but anyway, then you've got two optical bays, and then you've got a hard drive dock. Now I'm just going to grab a hard drive quickly. The hard drive dock, you can pretty much just slide your hard drive in and bosh. It's quite difficult to get them out, but they do come out eventually. But something, I'm not 100% sure about this dock. I think it should have had a cover over it so that when you're not using it, you can still cover it up, if that makes any sense. So it's, you know, it still looks pretty subtle. Just something that clipped in maybe, so that you're not always left with that big gaping hole in the front. So yeah, I find this just being left open a bit of a strange one, to be perfectly honest with you. You've got a grille down the front there, which is removable from behind the door. If I open this, basically you can see that inside you've got a pair of dust filters, and then you can see that the fans behind. Now this front panel, this is quite confusing. The front panel, you can have the 120mm fan there, you can move it down to the bottom if you wish, or you can run two 120mm fans. But I found these second set of holes quite confusing. But if you want to add a 140mm fan in, 140mm goes in the side ones, but then it actually goes into the lower set of mounts, so you'd only be able to get one 140mm in. If you mounted it in the bottom, then you have to use the higher set of mounts. So you can use two 120mm fans in the front if you wish, or only one 140mm fan, because it always uses the upper or lower set of extra mounts depending on where you put it. Even took me a few minutes to be able to work that one out. But anyway, we'll close the door. Again, you can see the mess. You can see me. Right, going to move round. I'm going to take the side panel off. Now, the side panel. Some very thick sound deadening foam. It's quite squishy. I call this egg box foam because it basically, it just reminds me of egg boxes. It's also the kind of design that you'll see in like music studios and stuff. It's very soft, almost stress ball like, if for want of a better term, really. But as I said, this foam is quite thick. Now, with the Noctua and HD14, it does fit in because we have the 120mm rear exhaust on the back of this. There's also 7 PCIs, it's just a standard ATX layout. And you do have a couple of water cooling grommets. But the point I was getting to, the Noctua and HD14, even with the Mushkin RAM, which does fit under the cooler, the Noctua sticks out ever so slightly from the top. Now this does make it a little bit difficult to get the side panel on. You can get it on, but the foam is touching the fan. If you were running the Thermalright Silver Arrow, for argument's sake, and you use the same RAM, because of the 140mm fan, you would not be able to get the side on unless you moved it over to the other side, which I really don't like, having two fans right next to each other. It just seems stupid to me. But yeah, so that's something to bear in mind. The coolers themselves fit fine, it's just depending on how your fan orientation is. Now, something I do want to say, you're not really going to be able to see it without me getting the lights right in there, but there's no sound deadening in the roof. You just have to take my word for it, because without me literally getting the light in there, but you're still not going to be able to see. I thought I was going to be able to do it really crazily with a torch, but no, it's not working. There's no sound deadening in the roof, which was something, considering it was a completely clear top panel, I honestly thought we were going to see a nice big chunk of sound deadening material right the way across the roof. Sadly, we didn't. Now, graphics cards. We'll do this from the PCI bracket to right the way to the end of the hard drive cage is 281mm. This is a 6952GB, which is the same length as a 6970. So you can get a 6970 in with the hard drive cage in. Obviously you have to put your cables over the top. If your cables are on the end, it'll be a bit different, but you can get it in. Now this section of the hard drive cage is removable. Now if you pop that out, it's just a couple of screws at the back, you pull and it yanks out. If you pop that out, you've got a full 400mm. So you'd be able to get pretty much anything in there then, do you know what I mean? You'll have no graphics card problems, but obviously you've got to bear in mind you need to take the cage out. Hard drives just slide in there on a rail. You just stick the two rails on the side, and to show you, it does also come with a SSD adapter. We've got the rails on there already, and pretty much all you do is you just put the rails onto the side of your hard drives. You just push on, they're toolless, you slide it in and then it clips into place and then they're locked in. So you've got 3 hard drives in the lower section and then you've got 4 hard drives in the upper section, so a total of 7 altogether. Obviously the cables on these are designed to go out the back, so it keeps all the insides nice and tidy. And yeah, you can see the hot swap dock. Oh, you really can't, can you? Let me bring the light in. I'll drop the light down so that we can see. Right, there we go. We can see it a bit better now. You can see the hot swap dock there. So you just chuck Molex power onto the back and your SATA cable, connect it all up. Easy peasy, lovely jubbly. Couple of toolless optical drive clips, all nice and simple, normal Cooler Master stuff. But what I'm going to do quickly is, actually no, I'm going to do it with you on the camera because I'm feeling a little bit strong today. Right, I'm just going to pop the back panel off now. Basically, back panel, fair old bit of distance there. You've got over 20mm from the back of the panel to this, but there's not so much room from the side panel to this supporting bar here. Now the reason why I say that, as you can see at the bottom, I've had to tuck the PCI Express cables round this bar, and there's a good reason for it, because it's not just the door we've got to worry about, we've got to worry about the foam. Now with all the cables, now I've purposely not gone super neat and duper tidy because, not being funny, I have literally just chucked those cables in there, and it kind of shows you that for the average user you can just chuck it in and you couldn't see the cables really from behind. But basically it does make the side panel quite difficult to get on because of all this extra foam. Not only is it a bit thicker, but because this foam, it kind of grabs hold of everything. When you're trying to push it past cables and stuff, it does get quite difficult. I'd almost say it would be good for you to have a mate handy, or just be prepared to spend your time trying to get it on and making sure all the clips and everything are in place. It's not that it's impossible, it's just that this foam with the cables just makes it a little bit more difficult. To the point really where, because of the extra thickness of this foam, the case could really have done with being another at least sort of 5 to 10mm wider, just to make this foam easier to get on the back. So it's not a massive problem, but it's just something little that I picked up that even I was having trouble getting it in. Now the cable routing, there's a cable routing hole here and a cable routing hole here, but there's no grommets on these. They're just literally folded over gaps for you to poke the cables through, so the cable routing holes aren't grommeted. If you come around here, I mean, you can see that it's obviously you're going to have the cables behind here, so, and there's plenty of room for you to be able to put your hard drive cables in. So you're really not, do you know what I mean, not going to have a problem with hard drive cables. And also, if you have a look, there's a fair old gap down the side here. Now I've routed the PCI Express cables out this section, because normally you would expect there to be a cutout here, but there isn't. So that one was a bit of a strange one, the fact that we've literally only got those 2 cable routing holes. But like I said, you've got that section there, so you can poke cables through there, and you've also got a couple of extra ones down here from the lower hard drive cage. Might add that the lower hard drive cage isn't removable, not unless you want to start drilling rivets. The top one is easy, a couple of screws, pull it out. Oh sorry, 4 screws, there's 2 there, 1 either side, and then there's 2 up there. You undo those, pull from behind, and then away she comes. So yes, that's pretty much the back panel. You can see that there's a large cutout for the motherboard tray, but this is a D14 obviously, and you can see that I've had to poke the bracket underneath. A lot of motherboard case manufacturers now are giving you an extra section here. This could definitely have been needed. I mean, you can get it in still, but what you have to do is you have to put the plate on and then poke these sections through. I can see some of the some of these back plates may have a problem fitting in this case. But then again, do you know what I mean? If you're just looking to build, then you probably won't be using stuff that's going to be that worrying. If you are using the high-end stuff, then you're probably going to be a little bit au fait with being able to tweak something to make it fit. So, turning everything back round again, we'll have a good look from back here. You can see the rig in there. We've got a Gigabyte UD7, there's an i5 2500K, the 6950, AX 850 watt power supply. So there's a fairly high spec rig in there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the final conclusion and wrap up with my final thoughts. Right then guys, the Cooler Master Silencio. Now, temperatures were pretty good actually. Once you've got it all in there and everything, we run all the fans on 12 volts, and this again performed better than the NZXT H2. Obviously, compared to the H2, we didn't have all the hard drive base populated and stuff like that. But it's thermally, it is a reasonable chassis. It's not the best chassis out there by any stretch of the imagination, but it is quite good. Obviously, something I didn't mention was down either side of the front of the case. That's where the air intake is for the front fans. This is definitely something that it wins over with the NZXT case, because you've obviously got more ways of getting air in this than the front door on that case. So it probably does come down to just purely airflow again. Noise-wise, it was very quiet. You quite literally could set this up to be whisper silent should you wish. Obviously you don't have to use in HD14, but even with that, with the fan reducers on and stuff like that, it's one of those cases that if you know what you're doing and you're prepared to put the time in, making sure that you get your fan speeds right and you're careful with your temperatures and stuff like that, you literally can make them just so quiet that you don't even know that they're on unless the power light's on. And I can honestly say I've come across that with quite a few cases in my experience in the past, and this definitely does fall into that. The side panel foam is good for keeping the noise down, but it is quite thick. Thick, it does give it a nice professional feel because it's a thick, but because it's thick, I do think the case could have done with being a bit larger. Larger heat sinks like this will not suffer, but you will have to kind of like get there. Or what I normally do is turn the case on its side so it's laying down, and then try and push the doors on that way. I put my with the way you're pushing it, put your hands on the back and push down so you can get the clips in, and then I use my elbows on the door to give it a good shove, so you can get pretty much everywhere on the door pushed down so everything's level, and it stops you, getting the doors popping up. I mean, you still will get it, but once you kind of get the knack of it, you'll be able to click and push, and you'll be away. So that was on this side. On the back panel, the foam was that thick that with the cables and stuff, it did make it difficult to get the door on. So that really, if I could have had that extra bit of width anywhere, it definitely would have been on the back side of the tray, just to make it easier to get that door on. Because for argument's sake, if this could make a good office case because of the SD reader and stuff. I can see people not necessarily having a modular power supply. Now if you've got all your cables at the back panel as well, it will make it incredibly difficult to keep getting it on, and it'll be one of those things that once you've got it on, you know, with a bit of help, you probably won't want to take it off again. Like I said, obviously you can get it on there eventually, or you know, persevere and get it on there, but it just seemed a little bit too difficult. I did like the gloss panel front and the door, but as I said in the video, the fact that the hard drive dock was left exposed, didn't have anything over it, even just a little blanking plate with some finger slots, just that you just push in, it was like a press fit, and then when you wanted to use it, you just kind of pull it out again. That would have been lovely, but to just leave it open seems a bit kind of like a bit of an afterthought, for want of a better term. And another thing that I was thinking about was, on the inside that hard drive dock is open, so technically that will be, because of the cutouts in the front of the case and where the door is, that will technically mean that you'll be able to get dust in the front, and it may end up being able to enter the case that way. Might not, but it's another kind of thing that I was kind of thinking about, that it may be able to draw dust in, because there's nothing to stop, you know, air coming in there or dust coming in there. But we'll have to see, really. Right, the top, where it didn't have an another fan rather, because it's kind of, you know, a lot of manufacturers now would have put something at the top for another fan. I think that they kind of missed out. I think they should have put some of that sound deadening foam up the top as well, rather than just having it as, you know, just a normal plain roof. So yeah, I've got a few niggly little issues with it. The hard drive cage being removable, brilliant, because you're not going to have any problems with your graphics card. It comes with an SSD adapter. You have got grommets there for water cooling. Yeah, I can't really see many people that are going to honestly use this with water cooling. Now, £67, that's roughly the price of the Storm Enforcer. It does bring a few more things to the table than the Storm Enforcer, but obviously I know a lot of people don't necessarily like it, but this is kind of like very plain looking. It's not got the body armour or the, you know, like the body kit that the Enforcer has. But this is designed to be quiet. You have got the USB 3 in the front, you've got the SD reader, you've got that hot swap bay, and it is kind of quite classic looking. I can see a lot of people maybe using this for a home server, or a just someone, for argument's sake, they want to build themselves a computer that's going to be cool and quiet, not necessarily into overclocking, don't want a big shouty case. This could be perfect for you. But because of the little issues that I said about, not that it has to have a roof fan, but it's not got one, and the fact that, you know what I mean, you've got side panel deadening and they've not put any in the roof, there's that. The fact that the back panel's a little bit hard to go on, and the fact that I really do think that that front hard drive dock could have done with just a cover over it, just to make it a bit more pleasing. Now a lot of you I can hear, but it's got a door, you're not going to be able to see it, but it's the little things that count. Lots of little things make up to a, you know, a bigger end product. But other than that, the cable tied in you can get round. It's not that it's not there, it's just that it's not got grommets, and you've not really got a lot of options. Like I said, you do have to go round the back of the hard drive cage, really, if you want to put PCI Express in there tidy without having it, because I always like to go out the back and then come in through a grommet rather than having stuff nestled inside. So there's nothing there that stops anything from working by any stretch of the imagination. It performs well, better than some, to be perfectly honest with you. It's very sleek looking. The build quality's there. I've not found anything on it that I felt was cheap in any way. And there's also not anything on here other than, you know, add this, make something a bit bigger. There's nothing that I can see that's a massive design flaw, and you know, by that kind of stretch. I've seen some cases where all the hard drives are far too packed together and stuff like that, like with the H2. These have got a good distance between them. You've still got your optical bays, plenty of airflow over the hard drives. Really, the only major thing that I can pick up on it is it just needed to be that little bit wider to be able to use that sound deadening foam on the back and make the door easy to get on. So for £67, I've had a bit of a dilemma with this, and I really don't mind admitting it, because I've been fluctuating between a bronze award and a silver award. And bronze because of the few little issues. Silver I would slide into because of the fact that it is quite similar to some of the other cases out there, but it's a bit cheaper. And I've kind of been throwing it up between the two. So literally while I've been sat here, because of the way the hard drives are orientated, facing the right way, they've got decent gaps between them, you can have 220mm fans in front. The fact that you have got that sound deadening, even though it is a bit iffy to get, or not iffy, it can be difficult to get on, but it's still there. The fact that you've got extra cable routing around the back of the hard drive docks, and there's some big cutouts at the top as well, I forgot to mention, so it's really easy to get your cables in the top. You're not going to have any problems getting your 8-pin power up and over the top of the motherboard. And because it is meant to be coming in at £67, I've decided to give it a silver award. I'm in a good mood today, so yeah, I've decided to give it a silver award. But to be perfectly honest with you, if Cooling Master had made a few more changes to it, just a couple of little subtle changes, even if it had added a little bit of price on, we may even have got a little bit further. But obviously I'm here to kind of pick these things up, and if you think this case is for you, then it might well be. It's something new on the market at the moment, but there are a few other cases out there that are similar to it, that you may want to have a look at as well. But I'm not going to try and stop you from buying this and make you buy something else. I'm just going to leave do you know what I mean, you to go and have a look at it. But yeah, it's going to get a silver award from TTL, and yeah, not a bad one, Cooling Master. Be looking forward to seeing if you have any other things coming very soon. But for now at least, you are going to be having a couple of free videos for me this week for all the regulars out there. If you're not a regular and you found one of my videos for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe and comment. Take a look at the other videos on the channel. Always welcome feedback, whether positive or negative. As long as you don't say I talk too much, because that's just the way we do things here. But anyway, for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video review for you. Out.